Hello and welcome to another episode of BlueFletch Enterprise Mobility Roundup podcast. Today I'm joined by Andrew Luecht. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. Andrew is the vertical strategy lead for supply chain and logistics at Zebra, or Zebra Technologies, as most people know them. So Zebra, if you're not familiar with them, is probably one of the largest handheld AIDC companies in North America and probably globally. But I guess, Andre, can you talk a little bit about what your role at Zebra is?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So I'm the strategy lead for transport and logistics, or supply chain in the widest sense in Zebra. The role comes with tracking trends in the industry and try to come back with answers to problems that we need to solve in the coming years. So I used to be a buyer of supply chain technology for the better part of 2 decades, and the idea is that together with my colleagues, we can identify where it is that we need to prioritize our efforts within Zebra to solve the problems of the future.
Got it. So do you spend like 30-40% of your time talking to end customers? What does that look like for your investment?
Very good question. Yeah, talking to end customers, talking to partners, and just observing the market, attending conferences, etc. So we're trying to get a feel for what we need to solve going forward.
Got it. Within that, so you're out in the field talking to all these people, trying to understand the problems that are out there. What is the typical cycle from when you see something to when that actually makes it in a product? Is it 6 to 12 months before you start seeing the results of your research analysis?
Or longer. I think since COVID, a lot of the bets are off. A lot of people had to focus on their supply chain in and of itself, trying to get products to customers. But usually something that we see in the market, problems that need to be solved, 18 months, 2 years is kind of a time frame that it takes to develop a new product. What we'll see later is there are many ways to solve problems by combining existing technologies. But if you talk about a brand new technology, it's probably measured in years, not so much in weeks and months.
Got it. And for, I guess, on the supply chain, I know with COVID, a lot of things changed around supply chain. Has that finally caught up? Are you seeing that catch up for your clients or for Zebra or for the industry in whole?
Yeah, I think the immediate problems we saw during the COVID pandemic, as in everyone is shipping everything by air freight, there's no access to semiconductors, etc. Those have all but gone away. The demand has caught up. I think what we're seeing right now is like normal or more normal economic ordering cycles.
Got it. And I guess from the demand, and one of the other things we heard was there was the shipping containers, and then for the high value items, it moved to air freight, and there was no availability on air. Is the shipping for ships, is that finally like loosened up, and we're seeing companies like manage that more optimally?
Yeah, I think a good indicator is the cost for a container, and that has come down significantly. And there's indications that that path is going to continue. We will, depending on seasonality and external effects, we will see the occasional bottleneck that is not going to go away. But in general, I think we're approaching more normal times.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So hopping into 2023 and what's happening right now, what's going to be happening in the next 12 to 16 months. Can you talk a little bit about the trends you're seeing, the things that for Zebra in supply chain, the aspects that are most important to you? What are the key things you're seeing out there?
Well, first off, we're an interesting company in that we do sell a lot into the supply chain, and at the same time, we do operate our very own supply chain. So we're making our devices, and so we're experiencing a lot of the challenges that our customers are experiencing. We're an integral part of the supply chain of our customers. So from the first mile to the middle mile to the last mile, we're pretty much our footprint extends through the entire chain. what we see, and I don't think that is unique to TNL, but we do see that in warehouses and the transportation sector, is the access to labor is still compromised, and with fewer people in the field are willing to work in these environments, you see an increase in the cost of labor. So access to labor and as an outcome, cost of labor. That drives the need for our customers to free their associates from tasks that are not adding a lot of value, as in walking, for instance, or tasks that are strenuous and generally not attractive, to keep the people that actually did show up. So the people that you have on the shop floor, you want to keep the work as meaningful and as attractive as you can. And part of that job then is to free them of tasks that are difficult, strenuous, and adding very little value. At the same time, we're also seeing a focus on speed, accelerating throughput. So whether it is picking in a warehouse or whether it is delivery to your doorstep, some of the providers in this field can offer 2-hour turnaround time for order fulfillment. So the consumer demand for immediate fulfillment is increasing and is likely not going to go away. So the labor shortage drives the use of mechanization, right? The robotic automation in the physical world. And as you know, our customers collect a lot of data with our devices. So the digital representation of your supply chain then benefits significantly from artificial intelligence. Where we used to look at purely descriptive analytics, now with the data that we have available and the advanced modeling that artificial intelligence will be able to give you, we see investments in predictive and prescriptive analytics. So basically clearly communicating workflows and what to do next. So what's the next best action? These are in essence a couple of the trends we're seeing for 2023. They're well underway. But in particular, in the world of robotics or artificial intelligence, I don't think we've scratched the surface yet. I mean, there's a lot more to come.
For robotics, I know Zebra's made a lot of investments in robotics in the last couple of years. How prevalent is robotics? Is it starting to be 20% of their customers have it, 30%? What's that look like for actually people putting it out there and using it or starting to use it?
Well, I think the old mantra holds, right? Automate what can be automated. We have now, with the Fetch portfolio, we're able to support our customers with material movement for carts and pallets. So that is a very wide use case for the entire warehouse space, the entire logistics space. And then when it comes to picking, we have options for person-to-goods picking use cases, right? So again, simplifying, accelerating processes, making the jobs of a picker a bit faster, a bit easier. And then what we see in the market, new form factors and smarter, more intelligent software. One thing that we'll see going forward a lot more of is orchestration. Orchestration is probably a new field that is worth exploring. We see the proliferation of robots being kind of it's everywhere. They're everywhere. We're trying to see what that means if you have multiple robots from multiple providers in one environment. How can you possibly orchestrate that and get the best value out of it? So that's an area that is worth exploring, and we're looking into that as well.
Are there technology systems or software that you're seeing that's starting to do that orchestration, or is it mainly bespoke where people are putting things together and just building software to solve that problem?
It's an early trend, right? So primarily the providers of the robotic solutions themselves will provide you with the software to communicate to a warehouse management system, a transport management system, things like that. But given that there isn't a single provider for all your robotic needs in all of the environments, the orchestration need is one that we'll see popping up a bit more.
And do you think, I feel like in the last 6 months, AI has gotten a lot of bounds and leaps and acceleration, a lot of attention, especially with ChatGTP and some of the other models that are, they've been around for a couple of years, but they finally become more common. Do you think there's going to be that similar acceleration in the supply chain side or the warehouse side?
I think more so in the industrial side than in the consumer side. Well, the recent customer or consumer interacting artificial intelligence applications are interesting, are cute, are really exciting. But on an industrial side, where you deal with fairly predetermined workflows and finite optimization options, I think we will see a lot more artificial intelligence playing a bigger impact a lot faster. So think about rerouting a truck if the temperature inside the trailer isn't working. These are kind of workflows that with intelligent automation we can already affect.
Yeah, I guess that goes back to the prescriptive piece where you're using all the data that you guys are collecting or have been collecting for the last 10 years and actually applying it to better models.
A truck arrives at your warehouse and it's late. Send a message to every warehouse associate holding a handheld device, telling them to meet at Dr. 14 because the truck needs to be unloaded. That is the kind of workflow optimization that we'll see a lot more.
Yeah, and I guess the thing people always talk about is like, will computers replace us? I don't think they're going to replace us, but they just make us more effective now, which is I think the key there.
Absolutely. So waiting time, anything that is inefficient, and at the same time, it will make the job of the associate a lot more enriching. There will be a lot fewer tasks that are non-value adding, and a lot more that'll stimulate the shop floor worker.
Get rid of the boring stuff nobody wants to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The robotics piece. What's your take on? Where do you see that? I know we have like historically it's been like A-frames for picking, and now you guys have the fetch robots, and there's a lot of them that take away the task nobody wants to do, like taking trash out or moving things from one spot to another. What is the next step in robotics? Do we see the robots getting any more advanced in the next year or two, or is that still a lot further out?
No, I think we will see a lot more mechanization and automation for areas that are more complex. Think about unloading a truck. Think about inventory management. Think about automatic movement of goods that go beyond a pallet. Can we move smaller entities? Can we change or combine the capabilities of existing robots? So basically, can we attach technologies to a robot that currently sit on a forklift or fork truck, etc. So we will see a lot more combinations of technologies than we've seen in the past. And I don't think we've seen the end of the robotics revolution yet. There's so much more out there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, go from pallet level down to next thing robots, small enough robots that are handling eaches and things like that. It'd be very interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess on the vision was another question I had for you. So things like visual tracking. Historically, it's been scanners in people's hands. I feel like we've started to see a lot more cameras and like fixed RFID scanners. What are you seeing around like tracking? Is it going to continue to be like barcodes with cameras? Is RFID actually going to come? Is this the year after 25 years people tell me it's coming?
Yeah, a couple of points on that. So I'm not 100% sure that's an either or in terms of technology choices from the customers. I think it's more of an and, a combinatorial use. We will see RFID being combined with handheld devices. We will see, or handheld scanners for that matter. We'll see sensors playing a bigger role going forward. So in essence, new form factors, combinatorial technologies, and then multi-technology integration, right? So I'm not sure there's one size fits all. The use cases are just too complex. But the pain point from our point of view, the value driver is capturing data faster and more accurate, right? And easier. And easier is what I mentioned earlier, easier in the sense of making new associates productive faster. So imagine an environment where you have difficulties finding someone and keeping someone who's supposed to perform a data capturing task. It might make a lot more sense to invest in capturing this data automatically. But at the same time, you still need a device in the hand of a warehouse worker. So combining technologies is probably the way forward. We see pockets with almost 100% turnover in terms of labor shortage. So the sooner newly trained associates can add value, the better for our customers. And as I said, there's no clear winner in this space. The way forward is likely a combination of technologies.
Yeah. For those technologies, it feels like there was a couple you mentioned. Like, what are the top 3 like technologies you think are going to have the biggest impact in the next 10 years?
Yeah, so sorry, I still owe you a question on an answer on the RFID part. So yes, RFID, we see RFID still growing. The cost of infrastructure has come down. The cost of tax have come down dramatically, and we're seeing new regulatory mandates and mandates put in place from large retailers when it comes to tracking and better visibility into, let's say, food or some of the inbound items that can spoil perishables. So there's some visibility and traceability around that, and pallets, cases, and even items we see tagged for RFID use. So just to round that out, I think so we are very bullish about RFID technology. We are very interested in tracking vision. Vision as a technology to augment existing technologies to round out the portfolio, and in combination with some of the existing technology landscape. Right?
When you say vision, is that cameras that are being put? Is it cameras that are attached to robots? Like, what is the suite of vision encompass?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's the field of machine vision, as in sub-millimeter quality control manufacturing type of environments. But when I speak about computer vision here, it's more of a identification of a parcel, verification of that the pallet has been built correctly, etc. And we've all seen the use cases of fixed industrial scanning, like scan tunnels in let's say, parcel conveyors, etc. We see some of that now in dock door automation, basically loading and unloading trucks as well. So a combination of multiple technologies, but vision is going to play a significant role going forward.
Bro, the data processing that goes with that, is the data processing for vision happening at the edge, or are they centralizing that with servers and facilities? Is it cloud? It just feels like there's a lot of data to go over a network if you're doing it in the cloud. Like, where do you see that actual processing happening?
I think there's no final answer to that yet. It depends a bit on the use case, right? So if you have learning algorithms on optical character recognition, or whether you just need to verify that a dock door has been closed or opened, there's a wide range of use cases, and the use case will then determine how you analyze the data, where it's going to be hosted, and what kind of architecture you will use.
Got it. And what about smart? I'm gonna call it smart tags, but I know in the past I've seen Zebra has barcodes that had like embedded temperature sensors.
Yeah.
Also had sensors for, you put them on your trailers, you know where they are in the yard, so improving yard management. Do you see the smart sensors getting cheap enough where they're going to start being prevalent on more products?
Yeah, I think we're quite optimistic about that use case. We see a lot of demand for tracking condition in addition to location, right? So basically, the whole cold chain, distribution of pharmaceuticals, distribution of perishable food. As I said earlier, there are new regulations in place. So FSMA 204, the Food and Drug Administration, has put out a regulation that will make it require for everyone in that supply chain to provide data, capture data, and store data about what went through their supply chain node. So these kind of regulatory mandates will help with the proliferation of some of those sensors. And there are some retailers that are starting to try to optimize for reduction of food waste, for instance. That is something that has been helpful for the sensor our sensor portfolio. There are lots of conditions that can be tracked, right? So temperature is the most prominent one. Humidity is another one. So the further you go down that line of capabilities, the more sophisticated it gets, and the more specialized the use cases. But on the other hand, the more attractive tracking those items is when it comes to not losing either high-value goods or making sure that they're being moved in optimal conditions. Right. So there's, as for the price point, I think that as with every technology we've seen in the past over time, I think this will come down from a inside the trailer kind of temperature measurement or a pallet level measurement to a case or item level measurement. I think that's a fairly obvious path, but it depends very much on the individual cost of the technology to support the use of temperature sensing. Right?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I know the food waste is a billion dollar global problem with things getting just expiring or sitting on shelves and getting thrown away.
That's a very good point that you're bringing up. It's not just the food waste in the sense of it is a moral obligation to not waste food, but it also extends the shelf life on the for the retailers, right? So there's a significant commercial implication on making sure that your perishable food in this case arrives at the perfect condition with a traceable and trackable temperature curve.
Yeah, definitely. So technology wise, like if you had to pick your horses to go out on, what are the technologies you would see in the next 1 to 4 years people should be thinking about or looking at?
So again, I think on the robotics side, we've just seen the beginning. So robotics would definitely be one. Artificial intelligence will have, I think, a bigger impact on the industrial side than it'll have on the consumer side and writing your essays for you if you're a high school student. So on the AI side, because the models and the decision tree is limited, is not the interaction, it's not the mind of a human that you need to, in one way, try to map or mimic. On the artificial intelligence side and industrial settings, we'll see significantly more. Do I think that we will have autonomous supply chains, basically all decisions being made by AI in a supply chain, so replenishment cycles, etc.? Not in the next 4 years. I can't see that, but we will make inroads into a lot more parts of the supply chain being automated, right? So decision support kind of and smart modeling, supply chain twins will become a lot more prominent. And then, as I said before, vision is likely going to play a larger role going forward. I think we will see a lot more, in general, a lot more granular and real-time data available to be analyzed. Whereas in the supply chain right now, some items are being, for tracking purposes, are being tracked on a truck level or pallet level. I think we will see a lot more granular data, and we will see the data a lot sooner. So a lot more real-time data, and that opens up then a lot more possibilities to use that data and come back with better options.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of optimizations that's still left in the system being made. So a lot of that's out there. So at the time of this recording, I think ProMat's coming up soon, and Zebra's presenting there. What should people come take a look at, or what are you guys showing at your booth this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in addition to displaying our technologies, we will also highlight this year how this translates into customer successes, right? So how is this being deployed, and how is this being deployed being Zebra is a lot through our partners. So you see a lot of that at our booth too. As for topics, fixed industrial scanning, machine vision, process automation, inline scanning, dock door automation, as in tracking what goes in and out of trucks or trailers. A lot around RFID, to no one's surprise. And then the smart warehouse, featuring material movement through our Fetch robotics, but again, workflows, receiving to shipping, intelligent cabinets. So there's a lot around smart warehouses as well. So I think I would tell everyone to come and have a look. There's a lot of new stuff there. There's a lot of customer success stories that you can see at our booth this year.
Got it. Well, look forward to checking it out. So just to recap some of the key things, I think that the two things that I got out of this. So the first is labor is still a problem. So anything we can do with technology to apply to labor, make sure we think about that. And the second one, I really like the phrase you used, the combinatorial technology, which is taking all these different pieces and putting them together. How do we actually take RFID plus robotics plus the WMSs plus the handhelds and actually use all that data in a smarter way, whether it's applying AI on top of that or using other systems, but definitely some interesting pieces in there. I guess to find out more about Zebra, Andre, for your website, just zebra.com, is that where everybody should go?
Zebra.com, yeah. There's the beauty of the supply chain topic is that it applies to pretty much all verticals, right? So there's a retail supply chain, there's a healthcare supply chain, there's a technology supply chain, whatever you have. So that was zebra.com would be the right starting point. And then on ProMat, we're both S647.
S647. Check it out. I'm not sure what the S stands for, but definitely you'll find on the map if you look for it. But yeah. Andre, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it and appreciate all the insights, and excited to see what Zebra does in the next year or two. You guys have done an awesome job in the last couple of years with helping companies with their supply chain challenges, and appreciate the ecosystem y'all have created as a company that's sort of tied onto it. But if you're interested in finding out more about what Andre is talking about, check them out, zebra.com or at ProMat S647 is the number again. And then if you have other questions for BlueFletch or suggestions for this podcast, reach out to us at info@bluefletch.com. Thank you again, Andre.
Thank you, Brett.